Welcome to the fourth video in this series, making a 2D racer in Unity. In this one, what we're going to do is give our cars an identity, so they're going to be able to have a sprite set, they'll have a name and also a number. We're going to set all this up by using a Scriptable Object class, so we can drag and drop whichever profiles of car we want in the inspector. So going into the scripts and Scriptable Objects, we can right click, we can go to Create, Scripting, Scriptable Object Script, and I'll call this a car definition SO. Now Unity will whir away a little bit there, but hopefully once it's finished, you can see the code on the right-hand side here. So let's double click on this to open up VS Code. Then inside VS Code, inside our new car definition Scriptable Object, we can serialize a field for the car name. That will be of string type, and then also for the car number, which is going to be an integer. Now immediately we won't be able to see these. We'll actually use these in our UI later on for display. So what we'll do so that we can see things in the console is we'll override the toString. And then in the toString, what we can do is return a formatted string with the number and the name. Now, wherever else inside our code we do print car definition SO, then we should get a nicely formatted string instead of just the class name and ID. Now later we'll also add the sprite into here, but I'd like to get this set up and running first, and then we'll come and have a look at the sprite. So let's go back into the IDE, and then in the IDE, let's go to the data folder in the assets, into the car, and we can right click and we'll do create Scriptable Objects, car definition SO, and I'm going to call this one Maisie. Then on the right hand side, we should have a slot for Maisie's name, which is going to be Maisie, and then the car number can be 11. I'll do Control S to save. And now we can use this scriptable object to actually set up identities for our individual cars. Now, if we select the car in the hierarchy here and look on the right hand side, at the moment we have two components. We have the car motor and the player car movement, using already a scriptable object for the movement. Now, if we think about where we want to use the identity, the car motor is definitely the wrong place because that's responsible simply for driving the car. And also the player car movement, well, that has responsibility for taking our inputs actually and then telling the motor what to do. So really neither of these are the ideal place for putting our scriptable object. So what we'll do is we'll add another component to this. Then we can click New Script. And I'll call this car core, create an add, and that opens up a folder browser. For me, that's opened up actually in the right place. So in the project, assets, scripts, and car, you have to be a little bit careful here because it can sometimes open folders outside your project, which can be a bit annoying when you then try to add them and can't find them. So I'll go right back up to the root of the project here. And then we're working in the assets folder here. Then you can see our data and things like that. We're inside scripts and then car, and it's here that it's going to be placed. So I'll click save, and that will whir away for a moment, but hopefully eventually you end up with a car core script attached. So now what we can do is we can serialize a field in our car core to make use of our new Maisie scriptable object. Before we do that though, it's probably worth making a prefab of the car. As you'll see later on, we're going to have quite a few components on here, and most of them will be shared between the player car and the AI car. So to prepare this, I'm just going to click the three dots here and remove the player car movement component and do Control and S to save. And then we can prefab this car here. To do this, let's select the car on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you can see the transform. Let's reset the transform before making the prefab. Otherwise, the prefab will have this transform built in, so it'll already have some X and Y positioning. I'd rather it was at 0, 0, which will make things easier with positioning later on. So we can click the three dots here and click reset to reset the transform. Yes, that puts it here. That doesn't matter. When we've prefabbed it, we'll move it back. So I'll do Control S to save. Then selecting the assets here, I'm going to right click and create a folder and call this prefabs. Go into prefabs, and then we can left click and drag the car into the prefabs here. Do Control S to save, and now select the car, and with the move tool selected here, just move the car back to where it was, somewhere around here, and do Control S to save. With that done then, we can now go and set up Maisie. So I'm going to go back into VS Code, and in VS Code, we should find our car core here. We can get rid of the update because we're not going to need that. And instead of the start, we can make this awake, and also I'll add the private in here as well. We don't need to, it's just personal preference to have that in there, and also get rid of this comment because it doesn't apply. So in the car core then, we'll serialize the field to have our car definition. And then inside the awake, what we'll do initially is simply just print to the debug log what our car definition is saying. So that should be then our car number and name. Now, as I look at this code, there is one issue with this, and that issue is that we are assuming that this is non-null, and it's probably a good idea to put a bit of null protection inside here. So if we open up the player car movement, I think that already has one in the start here. I'm going to copy this to be a little bit lazy, close that down. Then in the car core up here, get a hold of our car definition. And if that's null, then what we'll do is we'll print that this is missing from the scene and disable the game object, which protects us a little bit. So I'll save that. And actually thinking of that, let's go back to the player car movement. And we're not doing that for the stats here, so we should do that really for the stats as well here. So let's get hold of this, and we'll do the same things. We'll check if the stats are equal to null, then what we can say is the car movement stats also are missing. So at least we get some alert and understand why our cars have suddenly disappeared from the game. So we're not dealing with the sprite yet, coming to that, but I'd like first of all to set our car definitions up. Okay, so back inside the IDE, we have our prefab down here, and with our instance of our prefab inside our scene here on the right-hand side, we've now got a slot for the car definition. So we should be able to click on the circle here and double click on Maisie, and that car hopefully now has become Maisie. So if we run the application, and I can already see down here from the console that we've got car ready, number 11, Maisie. Excellent, cool, so close that down. Now let's sort out the sprite renderer. So the way we're going to do this, if we just open up the prefab here and open this out, we've got these visuals here. So we're going to serialize a slot on our car core that allows us to access these visuals, and then we can set the sprite. The way we'll set the sprite is by adding to our scriptable object a slot for the sprite itself. So back inside VS Code then, let's go to the car definition SO, and we'll add another serialized field into here for the sprite. And whilst we're doing this, what we can do maybe is split these up a little bit in the inspector as well, makes it a little bit nicer to look at. So we'll give an identity header for this one, and then we can give a visuals header for this one. And then our car core is going to need to be able to get hold of this sprite, and it can't here because this is private. So we'll put on here a public accessor, and we might as well put the public accessors for the others in here as well. So we'll take the car name, and we'll take the car number, which we're going to have type string and type int, and this will be car name, and this will be car number. Now these two we won't be using at the moment, but we will need them later on. With the car sprite setup though, what we can do then is go to our car core, and we need to serialize up here a sprite renderer rather than the car definition. So we can call this then car sprite renderer. And again, we'll do a null check here as well to make sure that we have everything that we need. So we'll say if the sprite render is null, then we'll put that into the log with an error, and again disable the object. So in effect, the car will just disappear, and we'll be investigating the log to understand why. Otherwise, we're looking good to go. So we can say our car sprite renderer.sprite is equal to then our car definition.carSprite. And that should then, with a bit of luck, set it up with the sprite that we assigned to the scriptable object. So back in the IDE then, I'm going to come out of the prefab actually here, so we don't need it. So come back out, so there we go. And then going into data and car, and getting hold of Maisie here on the right hand side, we can click the little circle, and let's assign the purple sprite. Do Control S to save. Going to select car and just double check it is assigned. Here it is, and I'm glad I've double checked because there's no car sprite renderer here. So let's open up the prefab here, then click the circle on the right hand side here, and we can double click on visuals. And that's now permanently assigned, and we can make that part of the prefab because it'll apply to every single car. So do Control S to save, come back out of the prefab by clicking this little arrow on the left-hand side at the top there. And if we run the application, hopefully we see Maisie now with a purple sprite. Cool, we do. Excellent. So I'll close that down. I'd like to create some others as well. So what I'm going to do is select the car on the top left-hand side, Control and D to duplicate the car, use the move tool to move it, and another one, and another one. And then down here, grab hold of Maisie, do Control and D to duplicate. Change the name of this one to Tigger. Then on the right hand side, the sprite for this one can be blue, and call the name Tigger and set this to 22. And I'm going to speed this up, but just create another couple of these as well. Okay, so I've gone ahead and created 4 profiles here with different numbers and the 4 different sprites that we have. Now it's a matter of assigning to the cars. So I'll select car 1 and make that one a possum, and then select car 2 here and make that one Tigger, and finally car 3, and that one here can be Jabber. Then save all of this and run the application, and we should now see 4 cars sitting there, all with different sprites, hopefully. Anyway, yes, we do. Cool. And if we look in the console, we should see they've all been started as well. Excellent. The one thing you'll notice, of course, is we can't control any of the cars. That's because we've removed that component. But if we stop now, I'll go back to the project here, and with car 3 selected in my case, what I'm going to do is add a component and add the player car movement component to this. Then click the circle here, grab hold of the scriptable object that we've set up, and what we should find when we run the application is we have control of one of the cars. Yes, we do. Excellent. And that's the real convenience of doing things with scriptable objects. All right then, so I'll close that down. And with that done, I think that's a good place to stop this particular video. We've made another good step. What we're going to do in the next one is we're going to look at detecting hitting the edges of the track, so eventually we can set up a nice bounce effect. So thanks very much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.